And first of all, I'd like to congratulate again the organizers and ALAP for organizing this their first virtual conference. We know in IUSSP that there's a lot of things going on when you want to organize a virtual conference. There's a steep learning curve, but you're doing a great job. And thank you for inviting us for having this session. So Mary Ellen and me, Mary Ellen is Executive Director, of course, of IUSSP, and we will give you a broad overview of what IUSSP is doing, and then we focus, of course, on the International Population Conference, which will take place in a year from now, and that's sooner than you think. So we hope, of course, that you will all join. Now, I'm Nico van Imwegen. I'm the Secretary General and Treasurer of the IUSSP. And so Mary Ellen and I prepared a short PowerPoint, but if you go to our virtual booth here at ALAP, you see a very nice video, which also shows some of our activities. So please go to that booth and have a look at the video. But now let's get on with the show. And so what's most important today in this session, which will be very informal, is that we get as much feedback as possible from you on our activities, because that's the reason why we are here. We like to learn from one another. Okay, but here IUSSP in a nutshell, and what we are trying to do in the union is to connect the world population community. And we have several activities that we are very busy with, actually. And one of the major one is, of course, our flagship International Population Conference. More of that to follow later. We have scientific panels that are providing cutting-edge science, and those panels are driven by members. Also, there will be more later. We have an early career task force where we involve new generations of researchers. We have, since we are moving all our activities online, our series of IUSSP webinars and other online events. At this very moment, we have the Population and Poverty Conference running. And we organize this, of course, to stay connected with our community. We have our IUSSP weekly news magazine and our bulletin, where you'll find all kind of information on our activities. So let's get on with the next slide. Our scientific panels, and here they come. There are 14 scientific panels actually, and one task force, and they cover a wide variety of topics that you see here. Now, these panels are providing cutting-edge research, as I said. Every member can propose topics for panels, and the council will always decide at the beginning of its term which panels will continue and which new panels will be created. What we try to do is also to involve younger demographers, early career colleagues in these panels, because we think that's very valuable, and that model works very well. These panels have their own activities. They organize webinars, they organize other types of meetings, and they are the core of our scientific work for the union, and we're very proud to have them. And you see a large variety, and again, members of the union can propose topics for panels to be included in this program. If we go to the next slide, we have, and this is relatively new, we started it a year and a half ago, our early career task force. And this was meant to be, and it works like that, to involve new early career colleagues, new generations of demographers in our work. There's always this issue of, is this an old boys and an old girls network? No, the IUSSP is not. We are open to all the inputs from all our members, and we put a special focus on the inputs of young early career experts. Several members of this panel are here in the audience, so I will not speak of it anymore. I will give them the floor after this presentation, and you will see what exciting work they are doing. It's the first time that we have been doing this as council, and we're very proud of it, that it works very well. we go to the next slide, we have our IUSSP webinar series. And as I said, we have moved them all online. This was indeed a very steep learning curve. I think we're doing a great job. We have learned a lot, and our secretariat is really developed in a very fast way to a really expert group of people to have these webinars and other online events. What we are wanting and what we are asking from you and from all our participants to these online events is to share your experiences with us. It is, as we say, a steep learning curve. We are learning a lot. We're not there yet. And we need all your inputs to make these better events, more attractive for you. And also, of course, we like to build all these experiences into our International Population Conference of Hyderabad, which will be our big event and our flagship event. So we need your experiences for that. We go now to the next slide. Then I already said we have an IUSSP. It's weekly. It's very up to date. The latest issues, and it is of course scientifically of high quality, but it's written in a way that is accessible to large audiences. I think this is a very important way for demographers, for the population community at large, to communicate its outcomes to the world. You can all submit to that magazine yourself, so it's open for contributions from members. So please keep this in mind. It's a very attractive and it's a very easy read, and you can access it through the IUSSP website, and it's highly recommended, and we're very proud that we are doing this. It's a group of colleagues in Florence University that are producing this, and IUSSP, and we're very happy that they're doing this. Then the next slide would be our International Population Conference. And just for me to say that it will be held, it will be hybrid, which means that there will be sessions based in India that will be live, that will be visited by many colleagues, we hope, depending on how the pandemic develops. Most likely the sessions will mainly concentrate the live sessions on India. They will take place in Hyderabad, but most of the conference will be virtual, as Tom already said, and it's already communicated to, Tom said it in another session, it's already communicated to our membership. Most sessions will be virtual. We have 25 themes that you are familiar with in the Iussb. We always have teams that are very attractive for both a scientific and from a policy perspective. We will see the teams later, but there are cross-cutting COVID and inequality issues also there that we invite submissions to, because these are very important to us. The call for papers and the posters, that will open on March, and it will stay open till the 15th of May. So you still have time to prepare your submissions. Mind you, this time around, we want your best work, so we would limit the number of submissions to 2 per person. So keep that in mind. This is a slight change from previous years. And as we did in previous conferences, Mary Ellen will speak more about that, all submissions will be peer reviewed by 2 colleagues. So this will be our International Population Conference, our flagship event, and you should all, of course, join that, which is now easier because it's mostly virtual. And with this, I would like to give the floor to Mary Ellen to continue the good work.
Okay. Also, I wanted to mention on the peer review of submissions, as maybe you might remember from Cape Town, we're recruiting members to actually help with this. And so if you're interested, do let me know, because we still have slots open and we'll need lots of people to review, I think, depending on how many submissions we get. So what Nico hadn't mentioned is we have 25 themes for the conference, and I'm listing, you'll see them listed here in the next couple of pages, showing you who the organizers are and what those themes are. There may be a few slight changes in the theme conveners, but this was the list that we had come up with. We've postponed the call for papers. It was supposed to be taking place in a month, the deadline, and we've moved it to May because we need much, much less time to prepare, given that the conference will now be virtual. And I'm hoping, so here's the other themes: children and youth, older adults, gender, culture, ethnicity, race and religion, population aging, international migration, migrant populations and refugees, internal migration. We have a pretty wide range of themes that people can submit to: urban demography, human capital and labor markets, population and development and the demographic dividend, historical demography, population and environment, data and methods, spatial demography and human geography, population policy challenges. Both are topics that are of interest for policy, and others that are more traditional topics that IUSSP only does. And then we're also wanted to mention and note that in addition to the 25 themes, there are some cross-cutting themes that we hope people will submit to on any of those topics. And one is the COVID-19 pandemic and its impacts. And then issues of inequality, discrimination, differential vulnerability, and resilience, which are all of high interest. And we hope that we can attract papers in those areas. So the idea for this new conference, this virtual conference, is that we would try and organize and have sessions around the clock so that people could attend sessions that were in their time zone at any time of the day. We're still working on this and hoping it's possible, but that's the plan, and things would be recorded so people could access the sessions after they take place. We still plan on having approximately 220 sessions. We think that will be possible. We're hoping. There'll be plenaries, and there'll also be roundtables in addition to the sessions that are created from the call for papers. And we hope to also be able to include training workshops and lots of virtual networking activities. We'll see what we can do. We're testing those items out. And we plan to have a social program that will also be virtual. And in a sense, the virtual networking and the social program should be together. Right now, we're organizing the POP-POV virtual conference, the Conference on Population Poverty and Inequality. And it's, in a sense, kind of a test to see what can be done with this virtual software. We're using a different provider than you are for your conference, but I'm sure that you have experiences to share with us about what works and what doesn't work. And we're learning from that small conference as well. And we want to bring that back. But as we discuss, and in our discussion after this, what I'd really like to get back from people is your experiences with your own conference now, and what kinds of things you think worked, don't work, and you'd like to maybe see take place at the IPC 2021 program. One of the ideas we have is to try and do some also hybrid or satellite meetings in different regions of the world, where some people could get together to have some live get together while they participate in the virtual conference. That's one thought that we had. We don't know how practical it is to do that, but we're thinking about that. And it would be great if somewhere in Latin America, somebody could help sponsoring that. I mean, there's just a lot of things that are possible in this virtual environment. Yeah. So we see what happens. And then I want to end this with just some of the important dates. They were mentioned before. We're hoping to open the website on March 1. Last date for submitting in abstract will be 15 May. And we hope to notify authors of the acceptance of their submissions by 15 September. And then we'd like authors, people who will be presenting, to confirm that they'll be presenting by registering by 15th of October. And then the conference would still open on 5 December 2021 as we had originally planned. It's really sad we can't all have face-to-face conferences, but we really think that even by December of 2021, it just won't be possible to do that in Hyderabad at this point. And with that, We leave it for question and answer. I think that you've put everybody in the same room, so maybe we don't need to do this because we're not in a webinar. This is what we do for our webinars when people are on the other side, but I believe everybody's here. So maybe I can stop sharing and we can just open this up for question and answer unless Nico or somebody else has other things they want to bring up.
No, indeed, Marianne. We can close this and then we open the screen and then we see everybody.
Yeah.
So if you want to participate, then just raise your hand. But maybe first I should follow up on the promise that I made when I had my introduction about the Early Career Task Force. I see several of the members of the Early Career Task Force in the room. So who would like to take the floor and explain a bit about what you guys are doing in the task force? Yeah, Igor, would it be you? Then can you unmute yours? Yeah, okay, and I have unmuted you. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for opening the floor, for speaking here at this conference. I'm really glad to be here. So just a couple of notes about the IUSSP Youth Task Force, of which I am a member. So as Nico said in the beginning, the Youth Task Force group intends to make the IUSSP and its work more attractive to young, early career colleagues. We already had a couple of online meetings during this year in which we highlighted the main fronts to advance, also dividing the group of more or less 15 people into the main interests and activities each one can perform. The ideas that came up for the International Population Conference are some, and I will just mention a few. One idea was to help developing a mentoring system where juniors are matched with seniors, including coaching. The idea is to maintain the links with senior colleagues after the conference. Beyond that, we also think in organizing a Meet the Editors session at the IPC 2021 with leading population journals focusing on how to get published. For us, in the beginning of the career, it's really hard to break the ice, to really get published, because we are still working on our papers, on our studies. So having this close contact with the editors will be really important for us. Additionally, another idea is to organize a research grant writing workshop at the IPC 2021. So again, in this topic of improving our skills, the idea here is to get more tools to improve the way we write and to finally get our ideas and the work we are doing published. And finally, another idea is to organize a technical training workshop at the IPC 2021, for example, about data skills, R, Bayesian methods, GIS, estimation techniques, big data, social media, etc. So we probably are going to meet again soon to discuss concretely about the work to be done by the task force for the best possible planning of the International Population Conference that should take place next year. In really brief lines, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Igor. It was great for starters. Any other of the task force people want to add to that? Jenny, Natalia, or shall we open to continue the discussion?
Well, I would like to add something. Well, I think it's a good opportunity to say that we are really pleased that we were invited to this group. At the beginning, we were called Young Research Task Force, and then I think when everybody saw us change the name to Early Career Task Force. So in this sense, we already experienced two different names in the group. It's a great opportunity because we are coming from different regions and we have different backgrounds and we have different experience in all sense, the university, countries and culture, language and everything. But it's great to find in this group all the things that we have in common, such as, well, the trainings that we are looking for, and the need to keep doing some vertical networking opportunities. And I think it's great that the union is giving us this opportunity to do that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Maybe just to mention something which is interesting, and we discussed this in the IUSSP Council. So all our scientific panels have a chair, and then that's how panels are organized. The Early Career Task Force does not have a chair, and it's more organized in smaller groups that come together and are interested in the same topic, and then try to develop this idea further. This is a model that in IUSSP we have to get a bit used to, and but it's working, and I'm very happy to be able to, as IUSSP council member, to be your council liaison and to work with you guys, because it's very stimulating, and we really need your ideas, and some of the things that Igor and Jenny are mentioning are very high on the agenda, and we will try to realize those at the International Population Conference. Is there any? Yes, Tom is of course our president. Of course, Tom, the floor is yours.
I can't be here unless I feel obliged to say something. Not really. Speaking to the Early Career Task Force, but also to other people who are listening, everything you're doing makes eminent sense. It's really good. We hugely appreciate it. But I would really like to encourage you, think outside the box. Things that we've never tried before. I've mentioned this to several colleagues. I was at a social media international conference, and they had a research slam, which is like a poetry slam, where all the young doctoral students got together and presented in a very amusing way their research. And then they were criticized and voted upon, and they passed to the next stage. And it was enormously fun. I don't know if that would work in demography. It probably would not work in a virtual format, but think outside the box. Our problem is we're all old, and we all know the box awfully well. And your great value is helping us think of new things that we've never thought about. And this is for the Early Career Task Force, but it's for anybody else who's listening. Send us neat ideas. We will definitely love to look at them. We might not accept them, but we would definitely like to hear your ideas, and there is a good chance we will accept them. Thanks.
Yeah. And we hope you have some ideas for a virtual conference, because the one place where I think you've grown up more with the web, you might have some great ideas to help us with the program in different ways.
Yeah.
And reaching out to people.
Susanna?
Yeah, thank you. No, I think the virtual conference has a lot of problems that goes with it, but has some advantages, and maybe we should learn and think about the box with the conference. And I think the young people and people around the world can help us with that. When Mary Ellen talked about the satellites conference that we don't know yet how to deal with, maybe we can use that to make people join from different places and have these small meetings and do something virtually, culturally, having some people with the samba in Rio showing to other places, and some other thing in other places, or a cueca in Chile, and showing this with the satellite, if we have the satellite. And I would like to say that we could ask, because when I talked to some people here, like the IBG people about the satellite, they were very, if we have money, we can do that, because we have the space, we have the transmission that can go, and we could, if we can bring Brazilians to Rio, we could do a satellite. So I think we should try to do that with other countries, maybe with another NGOs or NGOs in some countries. That would be nice, if not for real academic things, but sometimes for cultural bonding people around the world, the demographers around the world would be nice.
Thank you. I see Diego has his hand raised. Diego, can you? I asked you to unmute. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Hello from Pretoria in South Africa. I think I would first like to commend the IUSSP for the progressive arrangements that are being made for the IPC next year in terms of a hybrid conference. I think many of us had the question in our minds, what's going to happen next year, and I must say I'm extremely excited about the possibility of presenting or of being part of a hybrid conference, and the fact that we will be streaming this through various time zones, I think makes real good sense. I was part of the organizing committee for Cape Town 2017. Still lives very strongly in my memory and in the memory of other people here in South Africa who were part of that. And one of the highlights for me was the debates that we had at the end of the day, almost like a plenary debate on a specific theme at the end of the day. And I don't know if had a chance to think about things at that level of detail yet, but whether that kind of initiative will be part of IPC 21.
I can thank you for your comment, and I can answer your question quickly. We are already discussing. We had one meeting of the International Organizing Committee where the issue of the debates, of course, was very high on the agenda. We are working on topics for the debates, so definitely there will be debates in which shape and which topics have not exactly been defined, but some of the issues that will definitely be there is population and environment will undoubtedly be there. There will be the health concerns and the pandemic will be there. Inequalities is what we have been discussing, and then these are broad topics, but how we're going to organize it, we're not sure yet. We're still thinking on it, but there will be debates, and thank you for that, and thank you also for joining from South Africa. By the way, can I ask a question following up what Susanna said? This idea of having regional hubs in parts of the world to increase participation and make it easier for people to join. Would that be something that also from your perspective would work? And I would also like others to comment on that, because we think that is a model that we should try to develop further.
Yes, absolutely. I think if the IUSSP reaches out to me and just indicates to me what is it that you need, I think through various networks, even through the UAPs and other networks as well, we are currently. I just came from a previous session before this one that was dealing with the World Migration Survey, where we are discussing World Migration Survey with the African Union. Through that grouping, I could also try and get some individuals together who can promote the attendance of the International Population Conference amongst Africans by creating an African hub for us to be a part of that. So let me know what you need, and I'm at your disposal. Great to hear, Diego. And it's really, we have been noting this, and we will get back to you. You can be sure of that. Are there any others? I saw Natalia, you wanted to comment also on this, yeah? Can you unmute yourself? Yep.
Yes, thank you, Nico.
Hi.
I want to thank Igor and Jenny for such a great summary of our task force. And I just want to second Jenny with regards to thank you to the youth for this opportunity of being involved in this new task force of the Iussb.
Okay.
Thank you.
Always good to hear. It's a two-way street, because we are more grateful to you than you should be to us, but that's another issue we're not going to. But thank you for this comment. Are there any more comments on a follow-up on what Susanna raised about possibilities also in the Latin American region for these hubs? Because I think that's something that we need to think about, because we think that it will really make it more easy for people from all over the world to join these conferences. Are there any more comments on that? Or
I would suggest that the task force who is from Mexico, I don't remember who is, that is one, I believe, or Irene is here, could talk to Sylvia, because I think Colegio de Mexico would be a great idea to have a hub there.
Okay, good, we will. Tom, come in.
I think hubs are a great idea, though I think the reason for hubs varies according to where you are. I would see in Burkina Faso, the reason to have a hub is that internet access is horrible, and you get people together in a hotel that's got especially good internet access, and they can actually participate. Elsewhere, you might want to try and clump in major demographic studies, CEDEPLAR, Colegio de Mexico, a few places like that, where professors could afterwards have interactive sessions with students around topics brought up. But I think it has to be designed in a way that it accommodates different needs, different motivations, different regions. One problem I would think in general is, if you're going to get funding to go to a conference, it's very easy. I have to go to the conference because it's located here and I'm going to get a receipt and I'm going to get reimbursed. If you're traveling 500 kilometers to go to a hub that is not where the conference is taking place because it's a cyber conference, are you going to be able to be reimbursed? And if you're not going to be reimbursed, are people going to come? I think this is something we have to think about to design it in a way that it will actually function.
Okay, thank you, Tom. I saw Irene, you had your hand up. Can you? Yeah, okay, you unmuted. Thank you.
Hi, I really don't have anything particularly to ask, just to support the idea that Susanna put on the table, and I believe that's a good idea. But also linked to that, or maybe not linked to that, but I am wondering, how are we gonna resolve the time problem for the conference? I mean, how is going to be possible to put together in the same session people from different time zones? That's really challenging, and I don't know how big could be the problem that brings to us.
Okay,
that's it.
Well, I can tell you it's a very big problem, and we have been breaking our heads over that. But Mary Ellen, can you?
Yeah, I think the idea is to spread out the sessions over a 24-hour period of the day, so that it's possible for people to join at times that are good for them. And then during the submission process, we're going to ask people what time zones they're in, and we're also going to ask people what times they're willing to present in, because there are people who are night owls and they don't mind presenting at midnight or 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And there are people who get up really early, and for them a really early hour might be better. And then we'll try to build the sessions around that. It adds an extra complexity for the conveners to put together sessions with participants who can be there at the same time, but that's one thing we can do. The other thing that we'll do, and I don't think you're doing this for the ALAP conference, but we're doing it for the PopPov conference, is that we asked everybody to pre-record their presentation, and we show the videos, and then afterwards people to get together and they discuss each other's papers and with the audience. So it's a pre-recorded presentation and a live discussion. And that might make it easier also for people to participate across time zones, because you don't have to like present your whole paper. It's a little bit more relaxed during the time when you might present, if it's very late or very early in the morning. So those are some of the things that we're thinking about, but we are also thinking about just having fewer sessions at the same time, but over a 24-hour period. So maybe we'd have no more than 3 to 6 simultaneous sessions, and even just 1 or 2 in some periods. And that would allow somebody from Australia to be in a presentation with someone from Latin America and potentially Europe. I'm just in terms of time zones. So that's how we're trying to work it out. And then obviously people in the same time zones, north-south, you'd have a lot of north-south kinds of sessions as well. But that's going to make it more complicated. So, but we're thinking.
It's very high on the priority list. Also, we will always, of course, record all the sessions so that people can view them later. But that's of course only part of the problem. About this video recording, because I think from an organizer's perspective, I think it works very well for us. We are very happy that we're doing that. It also helps to deal with if there are internet connection issues. If the sessions or your presentations are pre-recorded and we as organizers have it already, we are sure that presentations will run smoothly. We have some feedback from people, not only from younger or from older people, but actually across the age group that had to get used to that. Some did not like it. It's extra work on the one hand, but it gives also the opportunity to prepare better for your presentation and time it better. And then the feedback that we are having so far is once people have done it and have participated in a session with these recorded presentations, they were very happy, because then you can concentrate more on the discussion of the paper. So the sessions are actually very lively if you have pre-recorded presentations, which sounds like a contradiction. So if you have any feedback on that, then we would like to hear that as well. But for now on, from as far as we know now, in our webinars and in our population and poverty conference, it works very well.
Yeah.
And would anybody like to comment on that, on this issue, or any other issue? Because this also like an innovation that the audience, well, it's not new to have recorded presentations, but it works well. And as I said before, it's a very steep learning curve, not only for the organizers but also for the participants. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think the most important point of the pre-recorded session is that people don't get cut off in the middle of their presentation.
Yeah.
And we just had that. We're in the Popov and the discussant, he got caught in the middle of his discussion, but at least we had his presentation. So it's important. Yeah. And it means you can call in too, if you to discuss.
Good. Susanna?
Yeah, I think for technical reasons, the pre-recorded is very good because the sessions can start because you can have just a technician behind the cyberspace putting the sessions on, and people are getting in if there are problems. So it's very good. I'm not sure then Popov can tell us how that makes the session more code. I don't know if we could say that, or if that really gets people going on after the presentations, if they ask the questions, interact, but that is a learning. But I think for technical reasons, it's very good to have it pre-recorded. But another thing is that then, I don't know how Popov got this, it's a smaller conference, but for IUSSP or for ALAP, it would be very difficult to have this pre-recorded on time. We should have given them like asking them for those pre-recorded 10 days in advance, because people keep postponing and you don't have the pre-recorded. So are things there to learn, but I think for technical reasons, I would advise that we go for that in the sessions. And also it's good because people kept on time, because we have this simultaneous session, it cuts. If you have pre-recorded, they don't pass the time when they are presenting. So that's good too, but yeah.
Very good.
They don't always respect the time.
Yeah, no, they don't. If I may just point out some other thing that we are doing in Popov is that after a session, and it relates to some of the issues that were raised by the early career After the session, there is a kind of a breakout room, like you can just meet the authors, and it's a more informal discussion than you have during the session. And so we also are getting the feedback from the population and poverty to use that as a kind of a proxy for the networking that we all miss at the conferences. So like in a normal session, in a live conference, you walk from the room and then you stumble upon the famous demographer or whatever, and you can have a coffee with him. We try to simulate that in these breakout rooms after the session. So this is something that we're also exploring with. So that's what Mary Ellen said. We try to get as much new ways to connect as possible. And any ideas and suggestions that you have, just write us, get back to us and tell us, because we're building this conference and we're doing it while we're while running. We're building the conference, but it will be a great conference. I'm convinced.
The most important thing is for people who are participants to be actively engaged in those virtual kinds of ways of meeting people, because you can provide the room, but you all have to get in there and sign up and get involved, because that's what makes them work the best, is that people are in there. We also set up something called attendee proposed sessions. They're kind of like brainstorming. So if there's a topic that people want to propose, they can set those up. That's something new. We'll see how that works.
One other thing that we're discussing, and I don't know what you think of this, is what they call the gamification of conferences. So try to introduce more playful parts, like competitions, or how many sessions that you have participated, how many questions that you asked, or how many, whatever. Kind of you can earn some points or so. We are looking at those. Some people like it, other people hate it, and some people doubt. I'm one of the last. But we're looking where we need to find ways, and we are working with these developers of these conference platforms, but we need the ideas of our members, which are more important. What people like to make these conferences more attractive. So that's what the challenge that we have together. Okay.
Yeah.
I have asking for the early career here, if and even the Latin American who are here. I'm the council member for IUSSP representing Latin America, but I must confess it's very hard to get people becoming member. So I would ask you all to be like focal points to getting more members for IUSSP, and spreading the word for the young, for the students, but also getting back some old people who are not there. So my question here is, what I'm asking here is, let's to be like coronavirus and infect someone else and someone else, and improving our R infection for becoming a member.
And Darini has a question.
Did I see a hand raised? Somebody wants to join? Sorry. Yeah, Irene, come on.
Yes. Just following Susana's invitation, I think that a huge problem that has been always there for Latin America and probably from other regions to join the IUSP is the money. And that's really a big problem, because it's too expensive to be part of this association. So that's something that has been always there. And I think we should take some decisions about that. If we want more people, we need to lower the contribution that people from several regions can make to the association.
The fee for Latin America, we do have graded fees, so they're much lower depending on the income level of the country, but maybe it's not low enough.
And we have free membership for students, but that's only for 4 years. But you have a very good point. But Tom, you were raising your hand. You're on to react to this?
It was mostly to say
Or-
what you just said, that students are free and that it's very worthwhile trying to bring them in. It's costless for them. And this is a great way to become engaged, especially when you're stuck at home during lockdowns or whatever. For Latin America, it is a problem. I remember, I think fees are very high for Chileans because according to international statistics, and average income is part of the developed world. And I know that Uruguay too. But I know
and
that professors
Argentina
are
as
not paid well in those places. And the people who would be apt to become members, it's extraordinarily expensive for them. But how do you, if we start making an exception here, we need a system that works across the world. And it's how do you actually devise something that is, and that's not a simple.
Yeah, but it's a very valid point, Irene. So that this is really yeah. Are there any other people in the room that like to contribute, have questions or comments or something that we can take home with as IUSSP? We're now visiting Latin America, so share your thoughts with us that we can bring back to Paris. Somebody that has not joined it yet, Jenny. Okay.
Well, I think.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Unmute yourself. Sorry.
Okay.
Good.
And I think there is a problem with language. I mean, not all Latin Americans speak English, and all the activities are in English that reduce the participation. So maybe do some activities in Spanish or Portuguese or with translation will help.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and translation for this conference was actually fairly reasonable to do it on a virtual conference. So
yeah, that also seems one of the advantages of virtual conferences, that translation is relatively cheap, but it's an issue. Okay, I'm looking at the time. We have some time more for more discussion if there are more points to raise. What
I think Georgina asked that or no?
yeah.
Georgina, you want to come in and?
No, I agree with what Irene was saying. Whenever I got the message renew, it's like, oh, I suffer, especially because what's going on. But no, I think you were saying very interesting alternatives of how to, get younger people involved, and they sound very promising. So,
okay, so maybe one last point, and because of Georgina, it reminded me in our previous session, there was a session with regional population associations, and we talked about collaboration between the regional associations and IUSSP. So there can also be an issue there. What is your thought? What are your thoughts about it? Should we do more joint activities? Is there scope for more collaboration?
Maybe more joint activities. Also, maybe in terms of promoting participation, we can think whether it's possible for people from one region having some discount if it's in more than one population association. That's particularly for younger people. It's depending from where they're from, it's very hard to afford more than even one or more. So probably you have the national, then you have the regional, and then you have the more, like Iussb, which is so it's associations, and it's not easy to afford.
Thank you. Yeah. So thanks. Well, the financial issue is important. I won't belittle it. Yeah. I want to maybe change the topic a bit and ask you one question to all of you. If you look at the IUSSP and what we are doing, what are you missing? If you can just give us one thing that you are missing, maybe we can collate some of your ideas and can work as we said before. how to make our association more attractive for people to join, and then we have to deal with the price issue. Susanna.
Yeah, I think I would say, following your last question to Georgina, how to do cooperative activities. And I think would be a lot of work for IUSSP, but with this virtual world that we are knowing now, maybe like if some panel activities would be joint with another population or things like that, maybe we could attract more people, like pop-off, if could be something that were together, that you
Perfect.
can share the work and the expenses, but not putting more pressure on IUSSP activities. There are a lot already, but those dividing the share, the costs, and the good thing that comes out of it with other associations, depending on the topic and the people participating, maybe it would be something that we could attract more people.
Okay, good. Very good. So my question to all of you before I let you go, what are you missing? The one thing that you're missing in IUSSP? But you can also take this home and think about it and then write us emails, because that that could also be a way to approach this. Are there any other topics that you would like to discuss now? Now we are in this room together. And if not, then maybe we have had some very good sessions today. So maybe it would be Mary Ellen, of course.
I have a question. How many of you were planning on submitting a paper to IPC 2021? Or would have?
Here comes our survey. 1,
2, 3.
2, 3, 4, 5.
I think everybody is planning. The problem is that the word comes to the real place, not the virtual, and then we have a lot of things to do, and then we just fall behind. But I think, yeah, I think if people are pushed to send it before, it would be good, and they feel like.
But don't you think that being a virtual conference, that it would attract more submissions because it's easier to join?
Yeah, I think actually our experience with ALAP, I think, was like that. We had a lot of people come from different parts of the world that wouldn't come, even for not for papers, but invited sessions. That was something that was very good, so that worked. But I think with the virtual, we can try to get very good papers, and so that not just people presenting, but people presenting good work, and then we have audience listening to it. So
yeah,
this is the virtual side of it. Good virtual side of it.
About that. I'm also with ALAP, because on the one hand, many people with Iussb, it happens that you know, they may submit a paper and then they will not have funding. So, you know, very late they will tell you, I'm sorry, I'm not going. So that's not a risk with the virtual stuff.
Yeah.
However, having said that, even with the virtual stuff, since they know that they can go because it's virtual and they don't have to worry about, many times, and it happens to me since I'm organizing many tables in ALAP, they say yes because it's easier, but then yeah, they also have that problem. So it's always easier if you already have the full paper. Once you deal with the abstract, even if it's a long abstract, you're having huge risks. That's my perspective.
So do you think we should have a system where there's an abstract and then it's followed by a full paper and they select on a full paper? Because that's what some conferences do. They require the full paper before they put them in the program.
We have selected an extended abstract, and that was a problem. The full paper coming was very hard for some people. So I think selecting on a full paper is more assuring.
The threshold is higher.
I'm not sure if it's real.
No.
Only
Or
to
at
have
least,
purple paper.
or at least have a window of time. I don't know how. I mean, you have to have the paper with significant advance to make sure that it's there.
Okay. Also, in view of the time, Tom. Okay, thank you, Georgina. In view of the time, also, Tom, your hand was up for a while.
Yeah. I don't really have that much to add. I guess one little thing completely on the side, an advantage of cyber conferences is you can bring in people that otherwise would not come. And I'm thinking about having, think of a big policy session on aging in the world and try and get somebody really senior from WHO who would never travel to a population conference, but who could speak on issues of this sort that are of interest to people. I think we need to start being proactive, thinking about who would be really interested to bring in. We can make a real exciting conference.
Yeah, I agree with that. But another advice, even after having this, is that you don't have to have so many, because people cannot pay attention. It's very, the level of attention is low. Then you put the camera off. You have to go. I mean, it's people think that because you're online, you are available all the time, and you're not. So I think that this was we are doing here a huge conference. I don't have a minute free, like literally. Like now I'm in a minute, I'm hanging, and then I'm open, I have to like that.
No, that's I'd like to flag that, because that's what we're also getting as feedback from our secretariat, that it's a lot of work, and there is on the local organizers, which are now if there are it's tremendous amount of work that we
one thing that I would say is that the people who are working on the countries, now you're to have them work in Paris, you're going to have more people working in Paris for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this is maybe a nice way to end this, because we would like to thank all these people that worked very hard for this ALAP conference, and you're doing a great job. And we would of course thank our own secretary, the Iussb, which is doing a super job. But thank you all for joining this session. And thank you for sharing your ideas, and keep in touch with us, and we will organize some of these sessions also in future events. But thank you for joining.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And
we'll see you later.
Send us the what happens with your conference, so we know more about it as well, because that'll be useful for us.
Any evaluation would be welcome. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.